Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome into Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports and sports into something we don't talk about here. My name is Matt.
And my name is Dyl, and today we have something very, very special here on the show. We've been hyping it up for the last few weeks, and we are finally in the month of August, so it means it is now the official draft time. No longer just Matt and I drafting movies on this channel. We have a league where you can draft Oscar contenders and have them on your roster. So before we go over everything today, Matt, do you just want to give one last rundown of what this game is?
Of course. So the way that this game works, and you can join, yes you, if you go to our Discord and sign up before August 15th, we play a game called Fantasy Filmball, and how this works is you draft a team of 10 films, which then collect points through the awards season, through their Metacritic scores, through their box office, and through winning awards, which is the primary points getter for each of these films. So you're going to want to pick the best, most critically acclaimed, most box office friendly team possible so that you can win the game. If you are an awards season junkie, the way that Dylan and I are, which I assume you are if you are here watching on this channel, go and join. It is so much fun. We've been playing for a few years now, and we would love to keep growing this league. We've got up to 10 leagues this year. So get over to that Discord, it's in the description, and sign up now.
Regardless if you want to play in the league, we have a very fun community over there of people who just like talking movies. So if you think, hopping in this year may not be your type of thing, you're always welcome to join, because we're talking box office, we're talking Oscars, and we're just talking general movie news each and every day. But let's dive into our mock draft here for this upcoming season, and we're gonna do this a little bit different than normal. Instead of going down like how if you would go see like a fantasy football mock draft, it's like player 1, 2, 3, all the way down to like 200. We're not doing that here. We're gonna break each round up into different like game plans sort of what you can do with that pick. So I guess we should start off at the top. Round 1, round 2, you're in a league with 5 other players. That means there's 6 picks in the first round, 6 picks in the second round. These are your best, top of the line, best picture contenders, and across the board, players are going to go off the board. So you really want to look for a movie that you're very confident in. This year, it could be an Oppenheimer. It could be a Killers of the Flower Moon. Those type of movies that could get up to 10 nominations are probably winning at least 1, if not 2, if not 3 Oscars.
Yeah, with your round 1 pick, you do not want to throw this away. This is not where you take your wild card pick. You want to be safe, you want to be strong, and you want broad appeal. The first round picks, a lot of the time, they can be 2,000-point movies, which is a game winner. For example, last year I took Everything Everywhere All at Once first round. That got me around 2,400 points. A lot of the time you're going to end up between 1,000 to 1,500, and if you get really unlucky and you end up with something like Bardo, you'll end up with around 200 points. But what you want to be looking for here is something that's not just win competitive. You want heavy nominations, which means technical categories. You want all of that. So instead of doing kind of how we imagine going like this is going to go first, second, third, I think for each round, let's pick like 2 to 3 movies that we think suit this round. So my picks for round 1, I would say really strong possibilities here are Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, and if you want to get really, really risky, I would say The Color Purple, because if that doesn't move, that has a massive nomination potential.
In addition to those 3, I would also add in 2 other Warner Brother movies, Dune Part 2, and if you're feeling very bold, very adventurous, and you believe in this movie being an across-the-board type player, you could go Barbie here, especially if you're in the later half of the first round, because I feel like most people are going to go Oppenheimer, Killers, maybe Dune, Color Purple, maybe a Past Lives pokes its head up, and then like Barbie right there, that 5 to 7 range seems like a sweet spot to possibly be a big game winner. Or on the flip side, could be a movie that has all the hype that just doesn't make it all the way, as we've seen in years past with some of these later first-round picks.
Yeah, and when you get later into that first round, that's when you can start getting a little bit riskier, I think, and that's where round 1 and round 2 kind of blur. You're still going to be wanting to go for those big best picture contenders in round 2 and the end of round 1, but let's be honest, after the first 3, first 4, you're probably not likely going to be left with something that's like an above the line, across the board win contender that it looks like now at least. Usually how it breaks down is that in round 1, round 2, and round 3, there are about 3 Best Picture nominees in each of those rounds. But this is where it gets a little bit weaker. This is your Elvis. This is your Tar in this round. This is the type where you're not entirely sure if it's going to be a huge contender, but hey, maybe it will be. This is where I think you can take stuff like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, The Holdovers, Poor Things. Since we're still not sure about whether it's going to move or not, I'd say Dune Part 2 would be a great second round pick. Normally I'd say that's a first round, but since there's so much uncertainty around it, that feels like a good second round pick where I'm looking at right now. I'd also say like the Zone of Interest is a really good pick right here.
And on the flip side, though, these second and third rounds, we can have a lot of big swings and big misses. If you look to last year in our podcast league here with the both of us, including some other people in our Discord, as well as Brother Bro and the Film Drunk, we had The Whale be take here. We had Empire of Light, She Said, and Wakanda Forever all taken in this range, while there were still multiple Best Picture nominees still left on the board. This is a very questionable range because you could get some really big surprises as well as taking some very big swings and misses. So those are our first 3 rounds. You're going to have most of what most people right now are considering your Best Picture nominees, your contenders, your Gold Derby top 20 essentially is these first 3 rounds. And then once you get to rounds like 4 and 5, this is where you want to switch your draft board up a little bit. Stop looking for things that you think are Best Picture contenders because they're probably out of like the pool already. There are taken. So you want to start looking for some tech contenders, some very strong international contenders. But this year, I don't think there's going to be many of those in this range because I think Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest are both going maybe second, third round. So these tech contenders like the Batman from last year or All Quiet on the Western Front, we weren't thinking it's a picture play, but boom, look, it's Best Picture number 2. And maybe some very strong acting contenders like someone will probably take Maestro in the first 3 rounds, but if it's still around at 4, this is a very strong contender and actor, as well as some technical nominations. So it's one that you definitely want to keep an eye out for once you get into that around like 3, 4, 5 range.
Yeah, round 3, 4, 5, I'd say is where you're getting into your riskier plays. Things that look promising, but maybe not 100%. This is where I would take something like May December or Air or Saltburn. And when we start talking about more acting contenders, more tech contenders, this is where I'd suggest stuff like Naiad or Asteroid City or Wonka. This is like a great spot for that. Not round 3, but round 4, round 5, as well as some stuff like The Boy and the Heron, Rustin. Those feel really strong for me when we're getting into this lower range. They might not be strong Best Picture contenders at this point, but they look like they could get some acting nominations. They look like they could pick up some Critics Awards, some Golden Globes, some Critics' Choice. That's what you're aiming for at this point. And who knows, you might be surprised with a out-of-nowhere Best Picture contender. But right here, you want to go for anything that looks like a Best Picture possibility that hasn't been picked yet. Go for that. And then afterwards, start looking at the actors. Start looking at the technicals. And after that, animation. Animation's like your last thing that you're going to want to be looking at.
I would agree because even if you have an animated sweeper, it's usually peaking around 200 to 250 points, and that's usually meaning that they are also getting like a score nomination or a song nomination. But this year, I mean, you could make the case that Spider-Verse is going to sweep, but that's definitely not making it all the way to around 4 or 5. So then you're looking at like secondary contenders like Wish or The Boy and the Heron, which could pick up some additional side nominations like for song or for score, but they're not winning everything like a Soul would, and a Soul still didn't crack 300-400 points or something like that.
Let's look at The Boy and the Heron, for example. That looks like it could be in Best International Feature. It looks like it could pick up some critic prizes. And at the Oscars, eventually, there is a possibility, a small possibility, that it could play above the line. That's more of around 4. Same with Wish. Wish could get some song love, some score love, but I'm not as confident in that as I would have been with, say, Encanto or something like Soul, for example. So I would say Wish is more of like a round 5 movie. But in round 5, that's where you're really going to be running out of the strong Best Picture contenders, and you're going to be going full on into the tech players, like I mentioned before. Asteroid City, Wonka, or if you want to get really risky, some stuff like Dumb Money, Ferrari. Those would be some solid picks right around here.
So once you get down to the later rounds of the draft, the 6, 7, 8s, 9s, 10s, this is where you may be swinging for the fences a little bit. These are movies that aren't looking like major contenders, but could pick up some critic prizes, could break into the race in some other angles. I mean, last year we had stuff like The Woman King, Till in this range. While they didn't end up getting Oscar nominations, they still racked up a fair share of points on the totem pole, and if you get very lucky, there's been in years past, like All Quiet on the Western Front went in this range. Sound of Metal went very late in some drafts. And even looking to last year, while this didn't end up making it to Best Picture, RRR racked up a lot of points going in the very last round. So these later round picks are where you can pick some stuff that you feel really good about, but maybe not everyone else is feeling great about.
Yeah, I would actually break it up to 6, 7, 8 as one category of them, and then 9 and 10 as another. For 6, 7, 8, I'd say you want to go for those last long shot Best Picture things. Like, let's say you look at TIFF's lineup and you see something like Close to You, American Fiction, and you say, that to me seems like something that could be, in a crazy world, that could get some Oscar love. This is the range that you want to go for stuff like that, as well as like The Iron Claw. This is your big swings that you think someone else might take. As well, more stuff that's going to get technical nominations. You could take something like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 right here, because that's likely to get makeup and visual effects. And then you can also go for some documentaries at this point. Stuff like 20 Days in Mariupol, Beyond Utopia, documentaries in general. I'm freezing up on The Eternal Memory. That's another one. That's a doc. You could really go for some good docs between 6 to 8, but above that, you're really, really risking it because docs don't make that much in terms of points. But 6, 7, 8, that's a good spot for some big documentaries. Then 9 and 10, reserve those for films that you feel really passionate about. These are your passion picks. If you want to take a meme movie, take it in 9 and 10. If you want to take something that you feel like has no chance in hell, but it would be really cool if it did, take it in 9 or 10. Like RRR. Last year, Justin got this in round 10 as a, hey, what the hell? I love this movie. I'm going to go for it. This is where I would take something like Blackberry. I know I said it earlier, but I think Blackberry would be a great 9 or 10 pick. A distant possibility that I really hope happens, but I don't know for sure. This would also be where I'd suggest something like Beau is Afraid, or John Wick Chapter 4, or The Little Mermaid for you, Dylan, or Rye Lane. Films that we're passionate about, but we don't know if they're going to go and actually get awards love. This is where you just get something that you're going to be happy to have on your team.
And one new thing that we're adding to the game this year is, especially for those rounds 9 and 10, we're introducing a new form of waivers, more akin to what a normal fantasy football league would have. So let's say you do draft something like Rye Lane in the 10th round, but then it is ineligible to get more movie love and it's just getting TV movie nominations. You can drop that film and pick up something new. It could be a documentary that comes out of TIFF. It could be a Venice movie that really rises the ranks to an international feature. Or it could just be a movie that we all just never really acknowledge out of nowhere and it starts to get love. Because I know last year there were some leagues that Till and The Woman King went undrafted in. So those first round of waivers, people were able to pick that movie up and score a lot of points, well beyond where that movie should have gone in an initial draft.
Absolutely. It really gives you the opportunity to kind of experiment with your picks, take things that you might not normally, and go for some of those risky picks. If you get Dune and it ends up getting pushed, you're not going to be stuck with it all year long. You get to get rid of it if it gets pushed. Now, that does mean that you have kind of wasted a really great pick, but it allows you the freedom to mess up, which is really going to be useful in this game.
So for everyone out there, if you are interested, consider going down below to the Discord, join it, then go to the League Placements channel and submit and fill out that form. That way we can get your information, get you into a league before August 15th, where our drafts will be happening in the last 2 weeks of August. As Matt mentioned before, I think we're all the way up to like 13 plus leagues at the moment. So we have a lot, but we're always willing for more because it's a ton of fun. And I mean, you definitely don't want to miss this.
Thank you so much for watching. As always, my name's Matt.
And my name's Dyl, and this is Fantasy Filmball.